Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Gym Owners Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Stone. Over there's John Fairbanks. How's it going, John?
It is going swimmingly.
Before we dive into the subject for this week, we want you guys to get into Gym Owners Revolution Facebook group. That link is going to be in the show notes. Get in there. We got a community of gym owners. We got some monthly challenges. It's all free. There's not a bunch of bullshit in there. But if you want to get involved, find a little more about what we do here and the types of things that we cover, that's the place to be. You want to work with us directly, go to gymownersrevolution.com. Make sure you follow the show at the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Tyler F. and Stone, Tyler E-F-F, I and Stone, and John.
And you can follow me on Instagram at jbanksfl.
All right, guys, this is a format we're ripping off from Jocko, but this is essentially this is a debrief episode where we're going to go through with one of the businesses that we work with in our Gear Academy. And there's a process that we've gone through with some of their, call it a specialty program or one-off piece that we go through and we debrief at the end of this sequence. Every time we run one of these camps, we go through and say, okay, how did it go? How did it sell? What did well? What would we have done differently? Where did we fall on our face? What opportunities now with the benefit of a little bit of hindsight? What opportunities do we know for sure that we still have? What tools do we have at our disposal when we try to run this next time? So we're going to take you guys through that thought process using real world stories, numbers, and applications, because this has been a pretty successful process for us. So if you guys run a gym, you like doing whether it's youth programs, one-off specialty programs, weekend camps, whatever this is, make sure you're paying attention. So let's dive right into it. One of our Gear Academy gyms, I don't want to give a bunch of specifics. I guess we probably shouldn't give specifics, I don't think, necessarily, as far as like who and what and all this stuff. So, yeah. But primarily their business is youth training, off-season and in-season training. Whether it's agility, strength, explosiveness, power, just athletic training for youth. What are we saying? Ages probably honestly, down as low for some of these camps is like 8, 9, up to 17, 18. So
yeah, probably third grade to 12th grade.
That's the bread and butter of the business, and they do many other things, and they do them really, really well. But we were talking with this gym owner because he runs a camp 2 times a year so far. It's probably going to end up being 3 most likely, and then maybe a big ticket. But this is a 2-day or 3-day, depending on the situation, 3-day camp. It's not all day. I think it's just a few hours or a couple hours each day. Price point's pretty reasonable. I think it's around $150 or something like that
between 100 and 115 to 150. Yeah.
And what we do here, so this program, we launched it because it's something he's done. He's done it well. So you market it however you can, right? So the first time around when you're going to do one of these specialty programs, okay, I'm going to try and do this thing. And so we did it. It was a camp and lots of people kind of came, right? How was the marketing the very first time around? Probably a little loose. Maybe it was a lot of word of mouth. It was a lot of things that happened that maybe you can't always replicate very well. Right? As far as like, shit, how can I guarantee that next time I get twice as many people or 50% more people? So that becomes the objective when we kind of debrief at the end of any one of these programs or any one of these plays that we try to make, is we sit down and go, okay, now that we know, what could we have done better? And in this case, very specifically, first time around, this was just a thing that kind of happened. And now it's like, okay, let's focus on the changes made from round 1 to round 2. Was now we have a more deliberate time frame on when we start promoting, right? That was a big difference. Social media content was a little more deliberate, a little more direct. We still weren't running ads by the second time around. That didn't happen until this recent one. But for Christmas, that was something that was simply all organic, all messaging out to your existing email list, and mostly all word of mouth at that point, correct?
The email was brand new. So what was nice, because when we started working with this gym owner, he'd already done this before. So he'd already kind of done this on his own. Like you said, it was kind of not haphazard. That's unfair. It was essentially, hey, I have this idea, and then just went with it.
Yep.
And the success that he had was kind of just, you get lucky, right? You come up with an idea, you run a thing, you do what you think is best. When we get him, when he first comes into the Gear Academy, he's preparing to do it a second time, like you said, Tyler.
Yeah.
And this is when we introduce, we've talked about this on a previous episode of this, our reps method. Mm-hmm. So the idea of where, like, when we're getting ready for this second iteration, it's, hey, record the steps this time instead of just doing it and going. And because most of the time, whenever any of us are doing this, anything for the first time, you're really just going like by the seat of your pants. Yeah. You're just kind of flying through it and hoping to get through, like duct tape and will. And so we're like, this time you need to record these steps that you're doing. So then we can then be able to evaluate. And that's where you and I recognized when we did the postmortem, part of that normal part with him, and we do that debrief session, he's not sending out emails ever. And so that's when we prepared for that second iteration, being like, hey, send out emails. Better yet, collect emails, collect information, collect that data from people that come in. Because before it was getting the waiver signed, but it was mainly, please don't sue me if your kid explodes his ACL. Like that was all the waiver was. It wasn't emails or phone numbers or having the ability to follow back up with those people. So that was another major change between the email and collecting that data from those people that came in.
Yeah. So when we started looking at what are the real opportunities for the business, because one of the biggest things I see with, first off, youth programs very often are being run out of functional fitness gyms. I think that's where the majority of them are, right? You're going to run a youth program. You're going to have a coach who's going to do classes. So the space has to be structured for group training, I guess, if that makes sense. And when I see the promotion for those, I see very short time windows, right? It starts next week or it starts maybe in 10 days. I see very limited social media posting. I see almost no testimonials or reaction. And then when we dig further into the businesses themselves, very rarely do we see them even utilizing the email. If so, it might be one email that goes out. This is a big issue we see when we take a gym through this process, through this debriefing process, where we go, man, one fucking email, and the program kind of worked.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started running through with this gym, now that we started seeing some of these opportunities, we see, okay, how could we have attracted more people, right? What meat did we leave hanging on the bone somewhere? Second one is, how can we make this truly better for the business? Because a lot of gyms, when they run specialty programs, one-off stuff, seasonal camps, they end up being like a nice little hopeful money grab. I got an extra couple $1,000 in the bank and now we're done. That's kind of how it is. And they don't understand, or they at least don't make effort to make this more beneficial to the business, or to make this an access point to the business, or to try to attract, if it's kids, try to get them into more regular training, try to get them into semi-private training, try to get them into, maybe after this sports season is over, working with someone directly. Or even better, now you don't have the kids' email when they're 9 years old. Whose email do you have? The parents. So now you can start to say, hey, we have grown-up coaching. We love to have the kids in here. If you'd like to work out while you're here, or speak to a coach while the kids are here doing their stuff, let's get the ball rolling. So these are opportunities that we identify kind of in anything that we're going through. And so this first couple times through this process, we go, okay, sweet. So when a program is successful and you've put very little effort into it, it's like, man, we can really tighten this up. Not only is our effort more effective, but it'll be really a lot more efficient. We'll do a little bit more work and we'll be able to get twice as many leads. We don't have to just spend our way through the stuff, and we don't have to do pointless, fruitless work, because we're not doing it blindly, right?
And when you do something for the first time, you really don't get the ability to tackle all the things that need to be accounted for. So if we stay right in this example, if you're going to run a camp, if this is your first time doing it and you have not done this type of work before, the odds are you need to worry about fulfillment. Mm-hmm. What are the literal stations I'm going to do? What's the literal days looking like? All of the actual fulfillment side of the thing.
I think it's important too, because that's like a primary concern these first times around, is you can end up making a really bad impression on a lot of people if you don't have that stuff tuned up, because your fulfillment isn't just, here's what we're going to do. It kind of is, how can we do it well? How can we make sure this is a good experience? And then also, like, what's our limit in regards to people?
Right.
And attendees. That becomes the big issue where, okay, maybe we just sell. And we said this in the past, is like, selling is how you eat. Fulfillment is just the thing you're always doing. So I'm always a proponent of oversell, sell, whatever, pack it in and figure it out. But this first time around, it is important that the fulfillment be good, that you don't just sell a product and then go in haphazardly and make it suck, because now you're going to have a much more difficult time the next time around trying to get these people back in, and you're fighting an uphill battle when people already know you're not any good.
Yeah. And that's how you go out of business.
Yeah.
Right. Because like, it's fulfillment is where your testimonials come from. Mm-hmm. Like how well you fulfill, how people feel, how much fun the kids had, how much people are talking about the things that you do is from the fulfillment side. And this is why we think that gym consultants are all shit.
Yeah.
They're shit because they're prioritizing the wrong fucking things. Exactly what we talked about in a recent episode, Tyler, which is if all anyone is doing is like slapping dicks and having high fives about how much money you've just made and how much you've sold with no conversation around like the success of the client, like the fulfillment side needs to not be a given.
Correct.
Because it's the most important thing that you do. Once that is accounted for, then we can start talking about all the success that we do on the marketing side. But it cannot be that we just think because we can sell well and now I've paid to have somebody come in and make me better at sales and now I can browbeat a grandmother into giving up her social security check to be able to now personal train, or now nobody eats out anymore or buys Netflix because now I got a personal train.
Every time someone says they can't afford someone, I just ridicule them for their budgeting failures and failure to earn money, and I put pressure. It's insane, that
Right.
type of stuff. It's like, motherfucker, if you were better at the things that you do, better at letting them know how good you are at that, people
That's
would
it.
want to pay it. They would want to dump Netflix for you. And when you got to convince somebody for that, fuck off. Already fuck. I hate that already. And
And
this is a thing that I see so much now in the fitness industry, where I've been selling some nutrition products here the last week or so. And when I go through this, people have to be bought in. I cannot just close. I need them to actually be invested today, and I need them to be invested tomorrow. You can't, for someone to actually be successful, which will then create a cycle of success, a feedback loop of success. They have to buy in every day. They got to buy in when they go home. They got to buy in when they're at the grocery store. They got to be fully on board. You can't essentially trick, dupe, or shame them into spending money with you, because yes, that's a start. It does get them working with you, kind of, but reluctantly. And then at what cost? Because then they're going to work with you and they're not going to have success. They're not really going to be at that point in their lives. And I see this when I work with people. It's a bit of a diversion from the youth program we're talking about. But when I work with people, especially guys like, and when I do nutrition coaching, my biggest red flags, the first thing people start talking about when they're asking about what this nutrition program is they basically start telling me all the stuff that they refuse to change. Well, I had a guy the other day who's like, well, I mean, every night I like to have 2-3 glasses of wine and maybe a beer or two. And then, but for the most part, then I eat and I tend to eat a lot, but like and then I had another guy the other day who was like going through a program. He's like, this person 100+ pounds overweight. And he goes, yeah, so how often do I have to eat with this program though? Because I really only eat one meal a day. And I said, okay, well, we do get into fasting by about the week 3 or 4. This is a process, and but you're not going to just come in and tell me how you're gonna fucking do this thing. If you're already dug in, going, I don't want to make any changes, then what the fuck are you doing? Just take a knife, start carving all the fat off your fucking body, because that's the only fucking way it's gonna go.
and,
So
and it's
you
not a
can't
diversion.
trick people into doing business with you in
Correct.
this business. I can send somebody off with a lemon of a car and go, ha ha ha, it sucks. And if it breaks further down the road, they may not even blame me. It doesn't matter. I can dupe people into overpaying for this, overpaying for that. There's lots of places where the person doesn't have to be involved for the purchase or transaction to truly be complete. Fitness, it's just not the case. So your sales got to be based on your whole system needs to be based on good experiences, testimonials, and results, because that's what fuels you from execution version number 1 to number 2 to number 3. And then you have a program that has a real reputation, and then it sells itself. And if you don't capitalize on those opportunities, that's the value of revisiting these things every time you execute one.
And that is part of our strategy. That's part of the strategized portion of that reps method. So once we have done the evaluation, we do the postmortem, and then we start to strategize. Is we start to look at, right? We look at, well, on the exact point before we leave what you just were talking about, before we leave that idea, it's, did you have people that had buyer's remorse? Did you have somebody that said yes and then they backed out? And if so, what was the specific scenario around that? How did the sales process go? Did you oversell, right? Did we oversell what it was supposed to be? How far away do they live?
Yeah.
Are they 45 minutes plus away? That might limit how much where we're trying to attract people from because of an idea sounds good on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
then we immediately back out. And so
Or were they
that is
completely undercommitted in the beginning? It wasn't, they say this, all sales are emotional. You got to close, close, close right away.
yep.
All inquiries, all leads, it's an emotional decision. It's connected and they execute and it goes. I had somebody do the same thing. And I like those conversations when people are telling me, like, it's it, man. I look at the mirror, I've had enough, man. Like, I'm there. I'm there. And so, okay, perfect. And we go through the process and I lay out all the expectations. And then I have somebody buys and they cancel, last minute cancellations, like 6 of our first 6 appointments. Well, guess what? That person wasn't ready. It just
Right.
wasn't, it actually wasn't there. And so that's the nature of this industry, is you cannot make somebody ready. You can create a pathway, you can encourage them and guide them along the way. But we don't get to be slimy salespeople. It doesn't fucking work. And that'll cost you everything if you try to be.
And so then once this first step is done, the fulfillment's been accounted for. Now you do have something that's well done. This is why oftentimes too, it's that cover and move approach of this idea where I take care of the most important pieces first. So you run that first version of this camp, which is this gym owner did. So they run the camp and it was did very well. And so then this second iteration, they sell out, now adding prepared to collect content, collect data from people, and then being able to then email those people. They sell out within the first week, right, of advertising it. And so that was where now for us, the focus was we don't have to worry about whether the camp is good. Now it is just how do we market it? What are the specific things that we want to do to be able to raise that level of quality? And then they sell out immediately. So then it was a different conversation. So once he was able to then fulfill and did well, we knew the next iteration of this camp when we went through that evaluation and then post-mortem with him was, do you want to grow? Like, do
Yeah.
you want it to be a bigger camp? Because man, now you sold 20 spots the first time, and then you knew you can max out at 30 with your existing staff. And now do we want to go above? And what does that look like? Oh, we need to get a new location. So now it needs to be a location. So now we're having a larger strategy conversation that then leads to, well, right now you're getting the reach. What are you doing to actually advertise it? Like let's talk now specifically on social. Right now, you can get 30 like that by emailing your existing people and people that have come from before. Perfect. Now we have the ability to do that. Social, what are you guys doing? And that's when we realized there was a lot of opportunity, which was it was 1 or 2 posts with 3 or 4 shares, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Like it kind of was one of those things where there was a lot of runway to improve.
And the landscape has changed for Facebook ads quite a bit. One, we've talked about it becoming less and less and less valuable because less and less people are engaging in it, but it still is the one way to really saturate a certain type of people that are in your area. I do think parents still kind of live on that list as well, more so
Yeah.
probably than non-parents. But when we go through this process, we used to like make fun of gym owners. I still kind of do. And they're like, oh no, we've run ads a bunch. I've boosted a post. But boosting posts for this is for a specific play that is time sensitive, and that is extremely hyper local is worth doing. If you're just boosting a post, it's like, hey, here's my gym. It's fine. You could try it, tinker with it.
Right.
But some of these tools have expanded a lot where now you used to never really be able to pick demographics. It was you were very boxed in. And now you can really go in and pick, I want within, and let's be reasonable. One of the things we talked about with this gym owner was what was the first radius he did. So this last iteration did some boosted posts, did one, I think it was just one boosted post and blasted out to his people. I think only spent $25 on it, right?
Yep.
And closed 6 people at $150 a person. Closed 6. So that's what, John? 600,
It's like
900
between
bucks,
850, $900.
900 bucks or something like that. We should be more specific as though we truly understand math, but it's $900. And that is pretty damn incredible. And when we looked further into it, it was, again, as we're reviewing this in hindsight, we go, oh shit, but you put that radius at like, what was it, like 100 miles or
It
something?
was 100-mile radius.
Like, yo. So while a lot of the reach that you paid for was blasted out into the ether too far away, right?
Mhm.
it still was really fucking successful.
Right.
So now, again, with this power of hindsight, we go, okay, next time, tighten the radius up. Don't spend any more, just tighten the radius up, make more content, put something out there, see how that does. And then we can compare A to B and we can start to see. And once we have it really refined, we can spend a shitload of money until we reach the tipping point, until we cross the point of diminishing returns, where it's not worth really spending more money because we don't get more out of it. But as long as what was the math on this one? Like what X was that investment?
Oh, so between the $25, so it was $135 product. He sold 6 that got him $810. Since we need to be specific,
Oh,
and he
okay. I
got
thought it was
$810 at $25 for that. It was just a little over 32x, right?
32x
32
your
times
ad
return.
spend. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
That's really
beyond it's beyond fantastic. Because more importantly, psychologically, he knew that he was going to grow. I did this math after we did that postmortem with him, Tyler, and it was he went from his last version of the camp and he said, you know what? I want to increase how many people I can hold till I sell out by 50%.
Mhm.
So he's increased 50% how many people he wants to take on. And before he is even emailed out, which already has shown over through now 3 different versions of the camp, he can sell 30 spots by just sending out the email.
To people that have already been
So all people, he hasn't even sent out the email yet. So between putting up a flyer at his location and now running the ad where he got 6, he already has. He is
12 or 15 out of the 45 already.
Right. So you have a mass. So talk about like a mental thing where you originally were at 30. I'm going to bump it to 45. And now I already have what I normally couldn't have gotten before through these new means. And he's not done yet, because this is also the benefit. Anyone that comes to you, and this is also why we want to have this conversation and give you guys this insight, is that anyone that continues to try and talk to you about running ads and all this, that it costs you $1,000, $2,000 a month to have some fucking dork be able to run your ads for you. And then also you need to spend $50 a day or some other fucking ludicrous number to be able to run that ad.
Crazy.
Fuck
Totally.
them. Like these are those cottage industries that we've talked about and we've gone out hard before. And this is the reason, is that you don't fucking need them, especially in this version of this, that this empowers you. This gives you the power as the gym owner to be able to say, you're not going to die for $25.
No, and for $25, with, like you said, 5 miles from where you're at.
Yep.
10 maybe. Nobody's driving that much further for anything, not regularly, especially if it's not recurring. You know what I mean? Especially if it's regularly. So at that point, like you can hit everybody in your area forever for a few $100 if you just gradually roll it out. So now the other thing that we maybe may have glossed over with this too is the pathway from not just this camp being worth, thousands of dollars just for a couple of days work, right? Or a couple of days going on in your gym. It's that we want to convert these people into your business. So there's multiple ways that these products, that they can be valuable to you. The first is, okay, I got a bunch of people and I made more money. How can I make this more impactful for my business? I could charge more money.
Mm-hmm.
I could get more people in, or I could get more out of these people. Now, that doesn't mean taking more money for this product. It means, can I get them to do more business with us? Well, you've got them in, they had a good experience with you. I think you have a very high likelihood, if all these other ducks are in a row, to now you reach back out. Or we've done special offers for them too. We're like, hey, you can get a discount if you start back into one of our group programs, which worked really well, that almost we didn't even really address thus far. But from version 1 to 2, that was the case. From 1 to 2, it was, okay, let's make sure we tighten these loops. Let's make sure everybody's getting followed up and getting asked if they want to join the regular semi-private stuff, and converted quite a few into some really, really significant business that now is going to go on. These people with their average lifetime client value to the business, it's like really fucking solid. So that was a piece that we always want to make sure that we're addressing, that they can, again, this program can be, and these people can be more valuable by charging more. They can be more valuable by them buying more stuff, or you can get more of them into this specific program. The other thing is you can get them to refer more people. So asking for referrals now becomes another part of these loops. And are you supposed to hit all of these as home runs the first time around? You launch some kids program, some fluffy little idea that you had for May when school gets out. You're probably not gonna. It's okay. Your first version, I would love for everybody's first version to address all of those opportunities right? And address all the inputs that you need to in order to do this. But you're probably going to get halfway there or something. And you'll leave a bunch of effort on the table, but maybe it'll be successful enough to make you want to try to make it better. Seeing how much meat you left on that bone is really, really, really valuable. And that makes these programs now, when they're executed like this, like really fucking awesome. Because you go, man, I didn't get any referrals from anybody because I didn't try. I forgot to get testimonials. That puts me in a bad spot. But I got emails. So maybe I'll be less effective in getting my testimonials out of these people because it's been 2 months since they did it. It would have been great if it was after their final day and the kids had an awesome time. But now you make that mental note for the next time around, right? Next time around, they get a follow-up email. Hey, hope you had fun. Please here, leave us a Google review and just use that to start making content to pump the next. Then you follow up with them a little bit later, asking about, hey, referrals, do you have anybody be interested? Or simply send them an offer they can forward to anybody else, or just say, please, we'd really appreciate if you brought somebody in next time. Then you follow up and offer, come in, join, let's do this. Here's a promotional offer for those of you that have done the camp. Then you hit them up about the parents. Like all of a sudden now, like a pretty comprehensive, nice little marketing strategy. It's all in post. Correct. And that's the thing that's the key for the success of these programs. It's not what you can do and what you can do in the week or two before you think, the week or two to launch and trying to sell. It's just not all that. How you debrief and retool the marketing and overall strategies after one of these programs is the key to your success as the next one is going to be launched.
The risk that you're always going to run into with you and I, Tyler, is that we're going to drag you into deep water and we're going to drown you pretty quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So understand that if you're somebody that is hearing this and you have any type of youth presence inside of your business right now, and you aren't doing any type of seasonal shit like this at all, we've just now waterboarded you for the last 25 minutes of like this and this and this and this and this. You're not going to do all of this. The only way that you do all this is that you now have us then take you step by step to help you execute this in your own business. And we live working with you to do it. And even then, we're not going to recommend that you do every one of these pieces, because if we're running this like as sharp as it can fucking be, I want that last day. I want somebody that's there, that's going to do video testimonials with kids and their parents on the spot. Like there's so many different levels to this game that is so far beyond, hey, I think parents don't have things for their kids to do because it's spring break. Maybe we should do something.
Yeah.
That's where it is born. And we can take this so far out into deep water and make it so lucrative and have so many pieces. Just like you said, Tyler, that now this is no longer, hey, this is a good idea because I think there's opportunity, to where this is now probably, if not one of the most successful lead generation opportunities for the youth programs in your entire business. And you'll get 3 shots at it. And honestly, you don't need anything else. You literally could tell everybody else, go fuck themselves, because you already have exactly what you need, because now you have this huge, robust system that's functioning just off of, I think it'd be cool to have some kids around for a couple of days to give their parents a break because they got break and they don't have anywhere to put them.
Yeah. Now, there's other opportunities to grow this thing from this project here. And this is a piece that we had talked about a little bit with Austin Tolosa a while back.
That's right.
About like now getting out in your community. You've done this once, you've done this twice, or maybe you haven't done this program at all. And you wonder why people aren't that interested. Nobody's ever heard of you. You're just some kind of strange autistic fitness guy who lives in the gym and then goes home and sits with his family and watches his or her family and sits and watches TV and rests and recovers, and you eat your paleo diet or whatever this is, and you live the life of a fitness hermit, right? Like a lot of gym owners kind of do. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Nobody fucking knows who you are. You're not out there. You're not really out there being involved. You're not giving, even this coach who is involved, who coaches a bunch of these kids, this gym owner we're talking about today, who, not Austin, but the one for the program that we're talking about today.
Right.
He even said, he was like, shit, I went to this one facility for like a soccer, this outdoor basically sports complex that was right in our area for this sport that I'm not normally a part of. Was it lacrosse? Or I don't even remember.
It was lacrosse.
And it was like, holy shit, there's a ton of kids here. I don't know any of these kids. He goes, damn. It was almost eye-opening to him where he's like, my business is coaching kids at this age and doing strength and conditioning and performance coaching them. And I'm so not involved in any of these people's circles at all. And that was really eye-opening for this gym owner. He went, fuck, man, okay, all right. And then not like jarring, like, oh man, I've been fucking up. It's like, what a great opportunity. So it's like, okay, I got one of my coaches who's familiar maybe with this sport, and maybe she goes out and maybe I pay her to volunteer a little bit. Like, why don't you go I'll pay you an hourly wage. You spend like 2 hours a week just out there helping with the team or helping with this or that, or just be present, wear the shirt, be involved, like get out there and do some stuff. Maybe you end up picking up and coaching a team of 10-year-olds. For these sports seasons are like fucking 5 weekends long anyways, for the most part at that age. So it's like, maybe that's an angle that might make that 5 weeks of you making no money on those hours, and making it fun for the kids might make you an extra $15,000 to $20,000 that year.
And I think that what that strategy that you just did, right, is a whole separate, like we could dedicate an entire episode to it. That isn't where it starts. So understand, like for gym owners too, it is so easy. You're running your business, you're doing what you're doing, and maybe you have these young coaches that are around and they're hungry and they want to be able to be successful, or they are personal training, they are doing a little bit on the side, but they have time. And this is where if you have trainer, if you're lucky enough, right, to have staff that are between the age of 19 and 25, they're not married, they don't have kids, like they have time. This is one of those things where a lot of times, like, well, I want you to be able to get out into the community more. And the idea, right, and we've heard this before for gym owners, like, well, I've gotten a bunch of stuff that is, I've got flyers, like we've made a thing that's about you. It's about you, and we got flyers, and I want you to go hand them out to people. Right? This is, I wanted to go hand out to people at the sports complex so they get to know you. This is not New York City. People are not used to having people stand on the sidewalk and hand them pieces of paper for advertising.
Correct.
This is not, if I'm at a sports complex and a motherfucker's walking around and handing me sheets as like a personal trainer and advertising, one, you're gonna be like, mad kudos to you to be this bold,
yeah,
and like to be this extroverted, to walk around and like strike up conversations while kids are trying to watch their kid play sports. But also, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, what
Also,
are you doing?
like, by the way, you'd have better luck selling popcorn.
For sure. You
know,
might as well walk around and then sell water, and then you can sell the water with the flyer. And that's where it's the principle is right, which is you want your coach to be out in the community. So go and earn trust. And this is where we pivoted that spirit. And exactly what you described is exactly what we recommended, which was, instead, you have this person that wants to be in the community, that wants to be able to go after this demographic. Go be a coach, go be an assistant coach. Then you as a gym, go sponsor that team. Mm-hmm. If you spend the $350 or whatever it is to sponsor a team, to put your name on the back of the shirt, it'll get you 0 fucking leads. I promise.
I will absolutely fucking back that claim up. But tell me this, John, you assistant coach.
Yep.
This, right? You just assistant coach with this. And then maybe after the season's over, after the last day, maybe, by the way, at the end, these are just silly little fun ideas, but at the end of your little 4-week soccer season or whatever this is, you have a fun day the next weekend where you're like, hey, for an hour, just as team and anyone else that you guys are friends with, your friends and family, we're going to have pizza, and we're going to have pizza and Gatorade. And we're going to do it at our gym. Thanks to everybody, all the families, for coming. You guys are welcome. The kids can play. The kids can be active. You talk to the adults. You're giving away fucking $85 worth of pizza and some of your time, and you will fucking rule all of their goddamn ideas when it comes to where am I going to train my kid. There's no other, there is 0% chance of somebody else having any market share for you at the market share. What's the word? Competitive market share in the market that you're in within that group of people anymore. It's fucking over. This is how you can really, really begin to start to dominate an area. People talk. By the way, this is a nice little opportunity. I have a client of mine who's a dance instructor. And she's like, same deal for a lot of gym owners is they go, God, there's all this time where I'm paying. Like, my biggest expense is mortgage, is the building that I'm using. And it's like, I got all this time where it's just not being used. So she started having some of her, like, high school age students, some of her better students that are really experienced. So like just run little birthday parties. So if kid wants to have a birthday party, the parents can bring in pizza. They rent out the space for a few $100, and then a person, one of the students goes in and teaches them some fun dance stuff, and then they play, and it's half structured, but mostly not. And like all these people are in your place dancing,
Yep.
and you got paid to get them there. What a fucking better, what a great idea. And so these are the stuff, this now becomes, once this program's up and running and you're doing the thing, now you can look around and go, all right. So like I can already hit the ball way over the fence. Okay. You already know you can do that now. Once you've gone through this a few times, you can put the ball out of the park. How now can you get some runners on base first?
Yep.
So we're not just getting one run out of this. We want 5. We want 4. 5 would have been super grand slam. Yep. But I think that's a thing that a lot of people miss. And this last thing is, it's networking. It's a bit service as well. But like, this is the piece that we've always talked about this when we work with coaches directly, is that this line of work is not sales. Sales is a part of it, but this line of work is service. And it's not just that we are performing a service. It's a life of service. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't be paid well for it. But people absolutely need this service, but it should be in the spirit of, you can make all the goddamn money in the world if you are just really, really good at serving people.
And Tyler, there's not a better investment when you do youth sports. A lot of times these little rec leagues and stuff, it's an hour during the week for practice and an hour for the game on the weekend. It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
As a gym owner, let's say you pay your person $20 an hour. Let's say you do that.
Yeah.
Which would be great. $40 a week for 7 weeks. You will not have a better investment of marketing if you're paying for your coach to be there to coach kids. You've sponsored the team, and now you have all those things that we just talked about. The idea of your marketing dollars going there and paying, there's not going to be more lucrative for your otherwise, unless that coach is literally doing personal training, it's not more valuable for lead generation.
Yeah.
Right. We're not talking about fulfilling now. Now we understand that our fulfillment is being covered. And now you get these young, hungry coaches, or you don't have coaches. And man, it would be great to get a personal trainer that wants to come in, and I want to be able to grow my side of the business there, but I don't have enough business yet for these people that want to come in, and I don't have anywhere. Well, you know what? Hey, would you be interested in coaching a basketball team for the local rec league and wearing our shirt, and I'll pay you for your time to go do that. And that'll help generate leads, and potentially would not only generate leads for the gym as a whole, because we're going to have all this system that's in place for the post party and all that shit. But now I'm really putting you in a position to generate leads for yourself as a personal trainer as well, not just for the kids, but also for the parents.
Yeah. And this, now we pivot one more angle here, this into networking, right? And we were talking about this, yesterday a bit, because we talked about networking groups and how the rise of networking groups when economic downturns happen and things like this. And normally a lot of these things are people of similar industries getting in and helping each other out a little bit, and then also matching themselves with other industries, other people, other business opportunities. And we start looking through what goes on, at least in the United States, regarding networking for gym owners. The only networking opportunities probably that make sense for gym owners, based on the way gym owners are, is to be networking with literally everybody but other gym owners. Like, never bother networking with other gym owners. They're your competition. They're all this stuff. And I kind of get it a little bit, because right, they're not going to send anybody your way, and it is probably low value. But there is a larger picture here, that because gym owners don't get along with each other, because they're really territorial, very often they're too dogmatic. They want to shit on anything that anybody who's not them is doing, fitness wise, business wise. Gym owners oftentimes are fucking haters. Don't take this personally. This is a Gym Owners podcast. I'm telling you guys, you have a predisposition to being haters of other businesses. And by the way, this is an industry that has earned a lot of hate. So if your guard is up, rightfully so, right? There's a lot of scam artists and bullshit and hacks in this industry. So I get it, but you're predisposed to being a hater. So you got to understand that. A lot of gym owners are fucking kind of dorky about the fitness stuff. So they're bad socially. It's a very, we're right, you're wrong type of arrangement. is a gym owner's stance on fitness, on health, on why you should train at them, because we're right and they're wrong. We know better than they do. We do it right, they do it wrong. They only do this and we do all of that. And this stuff is dumb. And that is kind of a lot of how a gym owner, unless saying about your community being great, that's literally the two biggest things when a gym owner tells me how great they are or how good their business or what sets it apart from somewhere else. It's like our community, and a less glossy version of we're better than the other guys because they're idiots and we're smart and they're stupid and
Mhm.
they do dumb stuff and we do awesome stuff. And that's the gist of it. So you got to remove the way that you network, the way that you think about other gyms, and gym owners just need to get out there and actually network. And it doesn't mean being in my opinion, everything we talked about with the youth sports is networking, and it's networking that really is great in the context of your business. But some of it is being the guy out there, just having a conversation with somebody who's at a literal structured, planned networking event. Those things are boring. I used to have to do them for other industry I was in, and they were boring and they had very little value to me personally, except that because one, the business did well, people saw me there, they knew who I worked for, they knew I was interesting. You connect a human to a business, and a
Yep.
good conversation you have to a business, it's a lot more valuable than people think. Because we've always talked about when someone's looking for the particular service that you offer, are you the first one they think of? If not, how
Not
do
the
you
company, not the company, right?
company?
It's the
By the way,
person.
let me rephrase that. The company is the company the thing you think of. The company becomes the first one on the list
Right.
because of a person that they know.
Right.
Whether it's a person who was friendly or really jacked at this meeting or really seemed smart, like he knew what he was talking about, or it was just really, really funny, or we saw him there. Like, oh, I remember that guy. What's he do? And that stuff is fucking valuable. Me personally, don't get me wrong, it's real tough for me. It's tough for me to do those things for all of the reasons which I described, because I'm too dogmatic, I'm territorial, I'm a hater, I'm a bit of a fitness dork. Like all those things, it's real. So you're better off just going out and being cool and having fun and not making it about your business. And then eventually it all works out anyways. Like, and if you're not fucking cool, get it together, guys. What are we doing? This business is pretty fun. You got a pretty cool fucking job,
Mhm.
right? So like everything's pretty marketable. What we do as gym owners, like it's really fucking marketable if you're good at it. So I don't understand the aversion to it. You just got to do a version of it that works for you. Do you got to be the last person there before the kegs tapped out? Probably not. But can you make a goddamn appearance and be friendly? Act like you want to be there. There's a lot of gym owners that are not the type to go walk up and be the first person to shake somebody's hand. Hey, how you doing? They're just assertively like I think that that's for regular business people.
Sure.
That's just it, man. It's like you trust me. They probably, if the money was all the same, they'd probably rather do what you do. A lot of them, because for all the reasons a lot of gym owners get into this line of, oh, I can just live in the gym. I'd be in such good shape. Oh my God, it'd be so fun. You just work out all the time, like blah, 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 blah. And like, so there's a bit of an aura around that line, around this line of work. And like, fucking be about it. I don't know. And that's the kind of like the furthest out opportunities where it's like when we're talking about how to make this camp work well the next time and the next time is the next time. I think we've shored up a ton of gaps here. And I think there's a ton of new opportunities from version A, B, C, and D, and every new iteration of this program you're running now. Listen, if you grow by 50% every time, you got a different kind of problem. You have a totally different kind of problem. And so let's pivot to one more spot before we go here, John. Okay.
Yeah.
We already addressed this. We're on is this 3 with this one? The third one is the one we're currently selling, or is it the 4th?
This is going to be the 4th one.
Okay. So we've executed on 3. And now we start looking at, well, this is nearly a capacity. If at this current capacity, it doesn't even work for the one in the winter because they all got to be indoors, right?
Right.
So the question now is, one, does the price have to go up? I don't know, probably not, maybe not. Maybe we don't need to wring every dollar out of this as possible. But the question is now, all of these marketing tools, strategies, and processes that you have in place, are you now in a position to do a 4th one that's a big ticket theme?
Correct.
And that's where now, once you have these tools to go from a 20-person camp to a 30-person camp to a 40 or 50 or 60-person camp, and now it's like really easy to sell and you have so many people beating on your door, all the same things that you do to execute the promotion, marketing, and sales for that. Now you just have a new product that's not the same. It has to be better, it has to have the value, but maybe you got a $1,500 product, a
Mhm.
$1,500 twice a week arrangement, or a $2,000 summer thing. It's the whole summer. It's a couple, 3 times a week, or that's unlimited as many times as they can make, or whatever that package is, right? Now, all of this skill, the list you have, the context you have, the testimonials you have, the involvement in your community, all of that stuff now gives you the ability to, maybe you're not going to sell 45 $1,000 products this time, but you might crank out 20, might crank out 15. And this is where I like learning these things in a low cost, easy to fulfill, but not super low. Like we even said to, I don't know if I said it on the show, like it's important to note that this being $150-ish product, it's not a $20 product. It's not some throwaway shit. It's not
Correct.
some shit that somebody can sign up for and isn't going to go.
It's not
Right.
$10 a kid
Yeah,
per
it's
day.
not some of this stuff that's like that nobody gives a fuck. That no, your price so cheap, nobody gives a shit to like value it at all. They're just like, hey, yeah, whatever, man. Drop. It's just fucking some silly little daycare, or dropping them off to play laser tag, put $30 in their pocket and see them in 3 hours.
Right.
Not that, because it is significantly more expensive.
Well,
But you can make a really expensive product now. And all of these skills that you've learned and developed and the processes you have now, you're good enough to now earn $30,000 to $40,000 off a specialty program. You're good enough to do that. You don't just get to, this is the problem. People want to open a specialty program because they think big ticket. I got a big ticket program now. This big ticket program is going to give me 30 grand. Okay, cool. But you don't know how to market it. Nobody knows what this is. Nobody has any real, like, there's no testimonials about what's going on. You don't have a big email list. You don't even really know how to execute your email list effectively. Your sales process sucks. You can't communicate accurately what this program is or the value it has for people. You got no involvement in your community. Like, there's a lot of fuck. And then these people sell one or two. And the problem is, there's nothing worse than selling a big ticket product and having one person but buy it. Now you got to fulfill for one person who also now looks around and feels like they're the only person doing it. Goes, oh shit, nobody wanted this. Am I a mark? Was I a sucker? And that makes it very hard to build for the next. So it's very important that when you get into the big ticket stuff, that you have the skills actually to earn the money. And it's not in the fulfillment. It's in all of this stuff. Can you market it? Can you sell it? Can you do it effectively? Can you build it from one thing to the next? Because then if you run these big ticket plays 2-3 times a year, all of a sudden you're making an extra 100 grand a year.
oh yeah.
This is the problem, is we want to have this big ticket clout and this big ticket bump of money, but we don't actually have the skills to earn that money. We think just a big price tag does it for us. No, it's in your marketing strategy. It's in your networking. It's in your follow-ups, your email stuff, your ads that you run for it. All of this stuff is where you actually possess or develop the skills to be worth a $30,000, $40,000 bump in your business. Gym owners get a little greedy and they just see big price tag, go, oh my God, maybe if I just don't do fuck all, 10 people will just come up and hand me it because hand me $1,500 because I just posted a thing on Instagram once and emailed nobody and didn't do any follow-up and didn't make any content to support it. And that's the biggest thing I see when gym owners fail with big ticket stuff, is because they suck at promoting it and they never learn how to promote fucking anything. And they're trying to build a big ticket program off of these like mild successes that, if you have a mild success for a youth summer program, that's one thing. And you can't tell me why, and you can't tell me how you would grow it from year 1 to year 2. Well, then you're going to really eat a huge plate of shit when you try
And
to launch
even
a big ticket program.
and even worse, you're gonna have folks that are predatory that are trying to help you.
Yeah.
And instead they push you into a big ticket, they sell your soul and cut your throat because they're gonna now have a paid in full play that gets them paid. And then you're gonna make 40 grand in the first week, and then you just fucked yourself for
All
the
the
rest of
money you
your
were
year.
supposed to earn the
You know what I
rest of the
mean?
year.
Like it just is, that's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And to hit on the one thing that you brought up, which is like, well, once we keep selling out, do you make it more expensive? And this is where you can fight that urge because of everything you just described.
Mhm.
Is it no, you don't need to, because at that price point, you're now getting that list is growing. Those people that are a potential pool, because your money maker, 6 grand is great, right? $135 times 45 is $6,000. That's the fucking tits for 3 days of work, right? So for 3 days of work, but that's not the point. The point is that those are now people that are invested in you. They've had a great time. And now they're primed to either work with you after that camp is over to come to the next camp, or more importantly, do that higher ticket play, because now you have now you've earned, and this is earning your position, right? We all know what that shit is from being an athlete and needing to earn the position, and you can't shortcut your shit. Everybody wants tips and tricks and fucking shortcuts and social media bullshit that's going to allow you to cut corners to be able to make money. And you don't. That's why that shit is smoke and mirrors and it's fucking vaporware. You've now earned the right to run a high ticket shit for the summer, that run it for 8 weeks, run it a few times a week, run it for a few hours each one of those sessions. And now it's a $2,000 per person proposal. And now you're talking about a fucking thing where, just like you said, Tyler, 10, 20 kids total. You don't need 45. You just need 20 for the 8 weeks to sign up, because their parents have to work and those kids have to go somewhere. And now you've earned the ability to have the trust in those families to then put that money down, because they're going to pay somebody else. There's going to be another fucking community program that's going to run. It's not going to be the same level and the same level of trust. And now, just like you said, you're going to run an 8-week deal, and you're going to run it for $2,000, and you're going to make $40,000-$60,000. And it's like, holy shit, what have we just done?
And then you can flexibly fulfill, because you've got money. You need to bring more staff on. You can do that. You have the resources to do this. So, yeah, that's all we got here today. I hope we help you guys through this process. Let me tell you, John and I, we both said here that, like, you guys can do this. You're not going to be able to execute all these things right away. But I want you to, if you care to do this, if this episode connected with you, go back and listen again with a pen and paper and really write down how you would address each one of these little things that we dropped. How would you do the email? How many times would you say, just tell me, how many times would you send an email out to your people? Write that down just for yourself, so that plan this out through what we discussed on this episode. And I promise you, you will save yourself some learning pains, some growing pains and troubles, and you will save yourself some missed opportunities for this first time or this next go around that you have. Okay. And that may make you a shitload of extra money. And then you will be sharper up in this process, so that by the next time it's even better, and the next time it's even better. So, and if you want us to work with you directly on how to hold your feet to the fire and how to execute these issues from week to week, and program to program, and launch to launch to launch to relaunch, get with us at gymownersrevolution.com. So thanks a lot for listening to everybody. Follow the show at Gym Owners Revolution on Instagram. Follow me at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFFIN Stone. And John?
You can follow me at JBanksFL.
Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next week.